Hey, Justine.
Hi, Michael. I'm here.
Downtown's online.
Online? Oh. That's great. The audio isn't really very good. That's why I prefer live, especially with my hearing. It's uncorrected so far.
Okay.
But hi, Christine.
Hey, guys. Well, that's good to know. I'll give that feedback to Chris because I don't know why that would be a
Maybe
problem.
just me individually, so.
Still, good feedback. All right. So, talking about expireds and FSBOs this morning. I personally think that this is for somebody who's trying to find new business. If this is like going out and searching for, I don't know, pearls in an oyster, or diamonds in the rough, or a needle in the haystack. Hopefully not that hard. But the point being is, when we're first starting out in the business and we don't have enough business, we don't know kind of where to go. Well, here are two places that are available each and every day to look for new business. I think a third one would be open houses, obviously. Holding open houses on Sundays and marketing yourself around that. Similar to what we talked about in the business meeting yesterday, or not me, but Steve Harney talked about on the Leading RE Institute video about generating new business by visiting 10 houses to the left of the house, 10 houses to the right of the house, and 20 houses across the street. You can do that with a listing. You can also do it with an open house. Talked to an agent this morning who's holding an open house Sunday. She's going to do it. Susan Rears during the business meeting yesterday says she's going to try to do it. I'll be interested to see what kind of response you get. But the point being is there are things every day that we should be doing. And Tuesday, and during the AHA class, we'll be talking about prospecting. And then Thursday, I'm teaching a class on prospecting. I really want to give you guys information in regards to where you can go every day and try to find new business. And today, we're talking about expireds and FSBOs. As you look at the outline, both are great ways to generate business with as few as one contact. It can happen just like that. You may just hit that for sale by owner on the right day, or you may hit the expired on the right day. They listed with somebody, it didn't sell for whatever reasons. You reach out to them, they want to make a change. You build rapport with them, you gain credibility with them, you show them you care, and they say, yeah, you're the person that we want to use. You talk about earning the right to be the realtor that markets their house to get it sold. But both of these are great ways to generate business with as few as one contact. When prospecting FSBOs and expireds, remember to look at the big picture versus just being focused on getting the listing itself. And the big picture is finding out why they're selling with the for sale by owner, or why they're trying to sell with an expired, because it may be that they're trying to sell and move to another area. Well, right there, you can talk to them about the Leading RE broker network that we have around the country, around the world, and say, hey, if you're thinking about moving to Scranton, Pennsylvania, we can refer you to a really good agent up there. Would that be helpful? And even if you never get the listing, if they end up allowing you to refer that business out there, you get paid for making that contact. It may be that they're trying to sell their house because they want to buy a new house. and they haven't, totally decided on where it is. They want to get their house sold before they do that. Well, you might get the opportunity to say, well, I'd be happy to go out and, do some research for you in regards to what you're looking for and bring you back some brochures and places that I think might work for you. And you never know, you may end up, getting a buyer out of it. So it's kind of like the let's make a deal sort of concept of things that you never know what's behind curtain number 3 until you trade in the box, right? Just a wide angle focus on what you're doing. There's so much more business available if you know the right questions to ask and how importantly, how to listen to what they're doing, how to listen to what they're trying to accomplish. What type of business can come from talking to a sale by expired? We just talked about outgoing referral, business relocation information. What that means is you may come across somebody who's trying to sell their house and you find out, you ask them why they're trying to sell, and they say, well, my company's moving out of the area. They've decided to downsize or they decide whatever. Well, there may be several other people in that company that are in the same boat as this particular person. And you say, oh, wow, are there other people that are going to be moving too? Yes. Well, is there a way that I could meet with all of you and talk to you about, helping you sell your houses here? But also, again, where are you going? And can I put you in touch with a realtor in that area and help you find housing, whether it's a rental, whether it's, buying something or whatever the case may be. We talked about new home sale. We also talked about, well, we haven't talked, but we will talk about other referrals. And what I mean by other referrals is that they may, good morning, they may, sit there so that those folks can stay with us. Other referrals could be that somehow or another they end up selling their for sale by owner, or even you have a really good conversation with an expired seller, and yet they choose to list with the same company again. But you're so good in regards to what you presented to them, talk to them about, that when they hear of somebody else that's thinking about doing something, they may not go with that realtor who they haven't been happy with, even though they're staying with them. They may say, oh, well, you might want to talk to Caroline because she blah, 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 or you might want to talk to Bob or Justine or whoever else out there in online land is listening. So, there's other referrals that can come out of it, the way we treat those people. We may never get that business, but we're going to get other business that we never knew was out there, that ripple effect again. And then finally, one of my favorites as it relates to for sale by owners is their prospect list. One of the things about for sale by owners is they're trying to sell their house themselves. They don't have a realtor. So they're buyers that come without a realtor. And they go and look at that house, or they call them and they look at that house. And at some point, when you build rapport and gain credibility and show they cared, you're going to earn their trust, right? And at some point, you can say to them in the midst of this, maybe their house still hasn't sold, they still haven't listed with a realtor, but you're going to say, your house has been on the market for several months now, right? Yeah, or a few weeks, yeah. And I'm guessing you've had people reach out and talk to you about buying your house, haven't you? Yes, I have. But none of them have bought it yet, Well, here's what I'd be happy to do. If you'll give me that list, I'll be happy to follow up with them for you and say, are you still interested in, 123 Nag's Head Lane? And if they say, no, it's too expensive or it's too small or whatever, you've got an opportunity to say, well, I'm a realtor. I'd be happy to help you find what you're looking for, right? And for them, you're saying if they are still interested, I'll let you know. And say, hey, you need to follow back up with these folks because they still have some interest. They're not sure what they're going to do, but your house is still on the list. But what you've done, see, is you've built the trust with them, and now you're helping them. You're doing things. You're making efficient use of their time. In fact, I'll reach out to all these people for you. I'll see what's happening. Another thing, I'll see if they can qualify. They may not even be able to qualify your house, but I've got a lender in our company that would be happy to sit down and talk to these folks, find out if they're credit worthy, find out whether they qualify. Because the last thing you want to do is have somebody buy your house or think they're going to buy your house, and they can't qualify to buy it. So one of the first things you need to do is make sure that the lender talks to them. Jay, Carl, that any of those folks would be happy to sit down with them, because even if they end up buying something without you, they're going to get that loan. possible. Go ahead.
Can we say we have a lender in our company, or, that's pretty discretionary. I mean, I want to do that whenever I can, but are we identifying that closely? Are we still arm's length, or we have an ownership interest?
We don't have an ownership interest. We have an advertising interest, but
That's all.
But it's fine. I mean, if you've got somebody that you're comfortable with, say, like, I'd love to put you together with a lender that I trust,
Yeah.
that partners with us in our company.
It was a typo. I didn't mean to seize on it, but I was curious.
Yeah, no, that's a great question.
I would say, I have a lender who works in our office.
Yeah.
And
Same
I'm on the
thing.
same level with him, literally, so
Yeah.
I can always confirm.
Right.
So it's true.
You could even say, I'm looking at a lender right now.
And we'll talk a little bit more specifically about that, just from a, just getting, but the point being is, there's a list. There's a list of people that have come and looked at that house or called them, that they've gotten their name and number, that have called there because they're thinking about buying a house. Well, why not you help them buy a house, whether they buy that for sale by owner or not? So, second to getting a listing, what's the most important reason you're calling? Hint, the manager told you is not the right answer. The most important reason you're calling is you're trying to generate new business. You're trying to get something more in your pipeline. You're using calling that expired or calling that for sale by owner as a reason for trying to create more business for yourself, putting yourself in a position to reach your goals and have the kind of success that you want to have. So first, because it's easier, expired listings.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What is your distinction between outgoing referral and business relocation?
Outgoing referral is just somebody who's moving. They're trying to sell their house and they're moving to Scranton. I don't know why Scranton's coming online, but Scranton, Pennsylvania. And you can say to
Why
them,
would you want to?
right. You can say to them, we've got realtor contacts in Scranton that we'd be happy to put you in touch with. Business relocation is a company is moving out of the area. And because you contacted the expired or contacted the sale buyer, you find out, well, why are you moving in the first place? Oh, my company is transferring me from here. State Farm is transferring me from here to wherever. Co-Construct is doing blah, blah, blah. And you go, oh, really? And are you the only? No, there are several of us that are doing it. So that you have an opportunity, again, another place where you might have a chance to reach out to more than one person because of making this effort. So, all right, so expired listings, it's really easy. You run an update by expiration date every day, and obviously here you do the hot sheet. And whether it's every day or not, I like to look at the hot sheet every day. And if I was an agent, I'd be going through and looking at withdrawal expireds on that day, and I would be prepared. I'd have right. Oh, there's not withdrawal anymore?
We were told sometime before Christmas, I think the category is expired, even if it is withdrawal.
Anyway, you look at withdrawal expires, and then what you're doing is you've got your way of going about and getting in touch with them. And there are different ways to do it. Everybody should do it differently. The point being is, there's gold in them, there are hills with expired listings, because they have had their house on the market. So they obviously were interested in selling it. And for whatever reason, it's expired. And, used to be, 100 years ago, when I was selling, the first of the month was my favorite day of the year. First of the month, because when I went to the office on the first of the month, I knew there would be all sorts of expires. Yeah. Because everybody's expiring at the end of the month. And so that day, man, I was ready, because I knew there was just gonna be a lot of, expireds, and I was gonna go after the ones that I wanted to go after and be ready to do that. So you run an update by expiration date every day. You've got to call or stop by and see these people the same day or at least the following night. If you don't, they're gone. They've already made a decision. Some expired listings have already made a decision even before it expires. They've called an agent a couple weeks in advance and said, look, our house hasn't sold, we're not happy, we're going to go someplace else. Somebody told me to call you. So they may already have it in place. But others, expireds, and then people start calling and they're making a decision. And the crazy thing is they may have made the wrong decision with the first realtor, and they make the wrong decision with the second one because they decided to go list with this person because they called them.
They showed up.
They were the first ones.
Cold call.
Right,
Yeah.
they're the first ones there. And so they say, okay, sure, we'll list with you. So it's really important that you have a plan in place that you can, however you want to do it, and we'll talk about a couple different things. But the biggest thing is it's a very simple conversation. Bob, Michael Guthrie with Roy Wheeler. I was looking on the MLS report today, and I saw that your house is expired. Have you relisted it? Simple as that. Have you relisted it? And they're going to answer one of several different ways. They're going to say, yes, we have. And in that situation, you say, well, I appreciate your time. I wish you the best of luck. Or you might take that conversation a little bit further and say, did you list with the same realtor just because you're interested enough? No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Okay, great. Or if you're really persnickety, you could say, and this is where, you better be really good at what you're doing. You could say, okay, have you signed the new listing yet? Now that right, exactly. It made your stomach hurt just thinking about that, right? But some you could say, have you signed it? Because if they haven't signed it, you could say, I understand that you're planning on going with that agent again, and I certainly understand that. But before you do sign it, would you give me an hour of your time? And let me come talk to you about how I would market your house to get it sold. Worst case, I'm going to give you some information you don't already have that you can give to your other agent, and it might be helpful. Best case for me, you realize I got a different plan and you choose not to sign that extension and go with me. Now that, again, I'm just giving you three different, scenarios. And that's the one that, is a real gut checker. But the point being is, calling because your house is expired, have you relisted it? They're going to give you a certain answer and you're going to know where to go with that. Right. If they say, no, I haven't relisted it yet, the next question is, okay, are you going to continue to sell it or try to get it sold? They say yes. You say, the reason I'm calling or the reason I'm standing in front of you right now is that I'd love to earn the right, become the realtor who would market your house to get it sold. That's why I'm here. I want to be able to have a chance to talk with you about how I would go about marketing your house to get it sold. Is there a time that we can get together? Right? And either they say yes or no, right? The other thing they may say is, especially at this time of year, well, we're going to wait until later in the spring. Or say it's November or December. They say, we're going to wait through the holidays and we're going to put it back on the market in the spring. Or we get to the summer. We're going to wait until after the kids get to school and we're going to put it back on the market. But the case is, I love when they said that. The reason I love that is because I had a system to follow up with them in a couple months. They went into my, my tickler file, if you will, and a couple months later, with their permission, I'm calling them back and saying, hey, it's now April 13th, and we talked about me calling you back. Are you still thinking about putting your house on the market in May? And is there a time I can come by? And the reason I like that is because most agents aren't prepared to do that. They're just trying to get the expired, right? And if they say, no, we're not going to relist it, they go, okay, thank you very much, because it's a numbers thing to them, right? If I call enough of them, and somebody's going to say, yes, I'm ready to go. But if I can just take it and expand it a little bit and say, oh, so you're not going to put it back on the market right now? No, we're going to do such and such. Okay, well, I can understand that. Would it be okay if I reach back out to you in a couple months? And they say yes. I say, okay, great. So, today is March 8th. And how about if I get back in touch with you on the 3rd of May? Would that be all right? Great. What time is the best time to reach you? How is the best way to reach you? Should I email you? Should I text you? And you get that information and what time is good? And at 6 o'clock or at 4 o'clock or whatever it is, boom, there's an email in their mailbox, or there's a text, or there's a phone call. And that right there says something to them about you. That you said you were going to be in touch with them on that date, and you were, right? Nothing wrong with a couple weeks before that dropping them a note and saying, hey, Michael Guthrie here. I just want to let you know I'm going to be calling you on May 3rd. If anything's changed before that, you want to get in touch before that, please let me know. Because you never know that something may have changed, right? In the meantime. But the point being is, with expired, you got to call or get to them as quickly as possible, because these people are ready to sell and they don't want to have their house off the market any longer than is absolutely necessary. If they're really serious about selling, their house hasn't sold, unfortunately, most times, as some of us already know, the realtor is one that gets blamed. It must have been the listing agent, that, the company that didn't do it, blah, blah, blah. When in fact, they may have done everything right. It was just overpriced, or it was just in a tough market, or whatever the case would be. And that's why you've got to go in and listen and hear what they're talking about, and let them kind of throw up all over you as to what went wrong, whatever. and figure out how I'm gonna go into that, especially if I feel like the realtor was doing a lot of good things. I gotta figure out how I'm gonna, talk to them about, hey, some of this stuff was really good, but we also wanna be thinking about doing some things like this.
I have an elementary question.
Sure.
In terms of getting people's phone numbers, more and more agents I'm observing are doing kind of what Jim and I do, which is to call the agent, which allows us to be the single point person for the seller to kind of ease their stress and to get a certain measure of control as well as those realtors pinging them all the time. So you don't always get the phone number. I've used NU.com. That doesn't always work. Is there?
It's Anywho.com, any of those things, reverse white pages. There's a thing called white page reversal or something where you can put an address in and it'll give you a phone number, or a phone number and give you an address. But in those situations, that's where you literally want to stop by and just have a little packet that you put together. That's why I was saying there are different ways of doing this. You stop by that day, knock on their door. If they're not there, you leave a packet of information, and basically you communicate the same thing in the packet. Saw that your listing expired. Just want to stop by and see if you're thinking about relisting. If you are, here's some information about me. I'd love the opportunity to have a time to come in and earn the right to be your realtor. And so maybe it's, and again, it's something you're doing above and beyond what other people are doing, right? There are going to be people that go, oh, there's no phone number, I'm not going to call it, right? And they're just going to give up. The statistics show that with each type of touch, with whether it's a for sale by owner or an expired, with each type of touch, you're less and less in competition. The first call, the first stop by, there may be 10 or 12 people that do that. But then you follow up a second time, and now there's only 6 or 7. And the third time, there's 3 or 4. And what you're doing is you're trying to get to the place where it's just you. That you're the only one that stayed in touch with them in a professional, quality service sort of way. Mm-hmm. And so when you call, you just say, it's listed expired. Want to know if they're going to consider other companies before they listed. The answer is yes. Ask if they consider Roy Wheeler and be prepared to answer why they should meet with you. That whole aspect of earning the right. I understand you're going to be talking to other realtors. I'd like to be one of them. Can I get an hour of your time to earn the right to be in consideration? And most people, if they've made a mistake and they hear from a couple of people, they probably will talk to 2 or 3. And then your presentation and the way that you go about, again, building the rapport and gaining credibility will make a difference. It'll be a differentiator. There may be something more experience in you, but I have always said in a listing appointment, if I can walk out that door, or if you can walk out the door with those people liking you and thinking, wow, I think that's the kind of person I want to work with. The track record, the amount of experience, the amount of success you've had in sales is not as important. Your thoroughness in your presentation is important, right? You're showing them, you're giving them the information they need to know how you're going to go out selling your house. But if they like you, if you've built that rapport and you've gained credibility with them, you show them they care, and they walk out the door and say, boy, I really like Carolyn, or I really like Justine, or I really like Bob. Well, and the other person says, yeah, but this person, man, they've sold a zillion, billion, zillions. You say, yeah, but this is the person I want to work with. It's what I call the warm fuzzies of the scenario. Go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to share a quick story. We went into a listing appointment in Beaumont Farm. We sent a letter out. One of Jim's listings, Jim's clients had listed. That listing had sold eventually. And we got a call. Jim wanted me on the listing appointment. This speaks to listening. At the very end of the presentation, the husband says, tell us something, talking to Jim and me, tell us something about you that we don't know yet. I don't know what we said. I chimed in, of course. I was like, because I really got that that faith was really important to them, and I was picking up clues, and I just said, we operate on a foundation of integrity and trust. And I kind of nodded. And it was probably just one of those spirit moments, and I was like, Jim didn't really chime in too much. And then I said, tell us something about you we don't know just yet. And I was thinking she was gonna say something about the house, and she went on about her grandchildren, loving her grandchildren, and she got teary. One of them had died after 3 weeks, and then I was able to talk about my niece's son who died after 2 days, and I said, he died of trisomy 13, and a chromosome, and she's like, that's exactly what my grandson, I mean, it was kind of odd, but it was like this connectivity that superseded, and then at the very end, for some reason, I went back to real estate and I said, I knew they were talking to two others, and I said, you may be talking to some people with a lot more listings than we have. But here is our percentage of what we sell of those we take. We don't take a lot. We don't see them as a way to get buyers. We want to get the job done for you. So we're kind of in a very diplomatic, we're selective too about who we work with. And because we've heard that before, where, the agent will have 30 listings. Well, guess what? Maybe 45% of them sold last year, and ours is more like 75%. So there was a connectivity that was really unexpected, but I heard that objection before, so I thought I would just do a preemptive strike.
Yeah.
And then say, if you have any questions, after talking to the other realtors, you need clarification, you would like us to address something that we didn't address here, don't hesitate to call us. Because we were one of the first in. And so they hired us.
That's great.
And it was really kind of profound.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's great. Yep.
But it was the listening. I think you're picking up clues, the key into what's important to them.
So when it comes to calling, whether it's for sale owners or expireds, again, this won't come as any surprise to anybody who's been in any of the classes. You've got to preview. You've got to take time to preview and know what else is out there. The more that you can do that, the easier the job is, especially with the for sale owner expired, because you have to be quick on your feet in that situation, because you're only getting this one moment on the phone or in front of them to get them to buy into, hey, this is somebody I should talk to. And so if as you're talking, you can tell them about the house down the street or this one over here that's sold or whatever. But more importantly, if it's been on the market, you will have previewed it. Really important. If it's a for sale by owner, you will have talked to them because you're trying to get to know everything in the market. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the point being is, when it comes down to them choosing who they're going to list with, a lot of expired listings will say, well, why, if this is such a great house and you're so sure that you can market this to get it sold, why have you never shown it? And because they don't understand what how the market is, and then oftentimes we're not going to bring the buyer. But if I can preview it and have my card in their house, a lot of sellers hang on to those cards, either to let their listing agent know or they're hanging on to them, right? And so you immediately handle that objection in that situation, because I was in your house. I haven't had obviously the right buyer, to buy it, but I did come by and see it. But more importantly, it creates that knowledge, and knowledge creates naturalness. And what I mean by that is, if I know, I can talk about it just like I'm talking to somebody over the backyard fence, right? Versus on a piece of paper saying, well, that's you can actually say, I've been in that house. This is the reason this house sold, whatever. So previewing, whether on the expireds or the for sale by owners, is really important. And it allows you to be as natural and as non-threatening as you can be. Contrary to popular belief, this is a people business. People make decisions with their heart oftentimes rather than their head. That goes back to the whole aspect of somebody may have a different success track record than you, but there's a connectivity, like you were just talking about. They connect, whether it's the grandkids, whether it's whatever, there's a connectivity that says, this is who I want to work with. We're going to go with this person. Both with, especially with expireds, and we'll talk more about for sale by owners in a minute, but you want to be brief. The object is to get an appointment, not to throw up all over them on the telephone. Are you thinking about relisting? Yes. Are you considering other realtors? Yes. I'd like to earn the right to become one of those realtors. When would be a good time for me to come see you? Don't get into what do you think the price is going to be, or how much commission do you charge, or anything like that. Those, when they ask those questions, that's That's the kind of information I like to give to you in a face-to-face meeting, because all of that it depends on seeing your house and understanding your situation and blah, blah, blah. So yes, when would be a good time for me to come by and have a chance to chat with you? Know what you're going to say and why you're saying it. There's nothing better than, practicing on voicemail, right? You're calling somebody and they're not there. Hi, this is Michael Guthrie with Royal Realty Company. I saw that your listing has expired. I'm just calling to see if you're going to be relisting it and if you're going to consider other realtors. If so, please give me a call at 434-227-9118. If not, I'll be back in touch with you soon. Just as simple as that, but use a voicemail. You can practice what it sounds like, and whatever, and you'll get better and better. I mean, I have a call that expired in a bunch of years, but that track is just still in my head, and it's mine. It's not something I memorized. It's something that was comfortable for me. The way you do it, Bob, going to be completely different. But you want to know what you're going to say, why you're saying it. You want to be controlling the situation, because if you do, it'll save you time and cause you not to waste much time. Be willing to fail. That's the hardest thing about these things, is that most of us don't like to fail. Most of us don't like to be rejected. Most of us don't want to offend anybody, right? That's why we don't say, oh, so you are going to relist with another company. Have you signed it yet? I mean, that's a hard question to ask, right? So be willing to fail. The greatest hitters only hit successfully 3 out of 10 hit times. They make millions of dollars because of that. Focus on the fact you're offering a service and hopefully a solution to their problem. I'm servant-hearted in the way I do this, and I want to come and I want to present a solution to your problem. If you turn the page, if you think of this prospecting activity in the broadest of perspectives, it makes it so much easier to pick up the phone or knock on the door. I'm not trying to be hard sell. I'm trying to connect with these people. If I believe, go ahead.
I just heard some good news.
Oh, good.
Sorry.
If I believe that I can help these people, if I truly believe that I can help these people, then it's worth my time to reach out to them, because if they choose anybody else, they've made a mistake. I would have been better for them. Not that those other people aren't good, but I would have been the best person for them to work with. If I really have that, that's not an ego thing. That's a confidence thing. Very different. You can be confident but still be certain-hearted and still think that you're the best, and that they're going to be glad that they chose you.
And me, you, and know your strengths. I think I consistently hear, man, you are so going to bat for us. You are so hardworking. You are on it. And I am a truth teller, and I'm going to advocate fiercely. And we were asking for $2 more thousand. I didn't think the sellers would go for it. And I just made my case to the listing agent. And it was really, and I can write. So he's like, I just called her and she agreed. So, but that's my, I have different strengths than Jim.
Right.
Jim is awesome on different levels than I am, but I can connect in with clients, and so we're a good team that way. But I don't try to be anyone else. This is what I do well. And some people say, well, you're too much of a free spirit.
Right.
Okay then.
Right.
But I'll get the job done too, in kind of my way. So I think it's important to be yourself, and it comes, and I'd like to get maybe your language at the end on some kind of different thing of getting buyers to sign a buyer brokerage.
Okay, so if you think, anyways, it makes it much easier to pick up the phone or knock on the door. Take your time. We've already talked about this. Build a rapport along with trust level. The bull in the china shop method does not work. I mean, it'll work, an exception of the time, right? Exception of the time, you're just going in there and just, I'm the one and you got to list with me and whatever. You may get lucky, but building that rapport and gaining credibility is so huge. And then the other thing that is money in the bank is having a system for following up. When you're reaching out to these people, how are you putting that information in so that you're not going to lose it? It's not on a business card. It's not on a scrap of paper. Am I in Microsoft Outlook? Am I on a legal pad? Am I still doing index cards? I don't care how you do it, as long as it works for you. So if I'm, still, doing the particular file, index cards, I can write an index card and put it in, for 2 weeks to follow up, and when I get to that, but, for me, I just use Microsoft Outlook. A lot of you guys use contact management systems that are off the chart with what they can do. For me personally, I just use Microsoft Outlook, and I put the date in, the time in, whether it's, birthday or, if it was for sale by owner expired, just put a 15-minute slot so it pops up in my phone 15 minutes ahead of time. You need to call such and such. You need to do this. And so I just put in from 7 o'clock in the morning to 7:15, and it becomes like an appointment. But it's a thing. And then I can go over here and I can create things to do, right? And then every morning when I sign on, it shows up all the appointments that I've scheduled in there, they show up. And I've got things in there now that pop up that they were long-term things that it just continually reminds me, I need to be thinking about doing this when I have time to do this. So it's short-term, it's medium-term, it's long-term, but I don't care what it is, you have to have a system. You've got to have a system for following up with people because, the showing people you care, the building rapport, gaining credibility, the showing people you care can't happen if we don't have a system. We may be the biggest, wonderful, good-hearted people in the world, but if we don't have something on the calendar, there's a good chance we're going to forget it. We're going to forget to call that person on the day that, the niece died or whatever. But if we have it in there and it pops up, people are so appreciative. They don't care that you have it in a calendar. They're just so appreciative that you remembered. I have a friend who lost a little one, and I've got on my calendar that such and such was the day. And just texted him that morning and said, hey, I'm thinking about you, and it was a tough day for me. And it means all the difference in the world. The other thing, this is free information here this morning, obviously, a little sidelight. If somebody comes to your mind, call them. And I'm not talking about real estate now. I'm just talking about real life.
Yeah.
I have been stunned by how many people I text or I email or I pick up the phone and call and they say, wow, I'm so glad you called me right now. This is what's going on, or whatever. And it's just, hey, and it can be just, hey, just thought about you and just checking in. And then all of a sudden they text back and go, whoa, I'm so glad you did that because I could really need your help in this situation. Trust your gut. I truly believe God puts people on my mind. And I didn't know that before, but once I started practicing this, it's just been amazing how many different times people, it was the right time and the right place to reach out to them. Just anyway. So for sale by owners, I didn't like for sale by owners. I didn't like them because I didn't want to have a door slammed in my face, right? And I didn't like them because I didn't know when exactly to go to approach them. As soon as I see the sign in the yard, as soon as I see an ad in the paper, as soon as I see it on Zillow, because I thought, if I go too quickly, they're not ready yet. They're still loaded for bear, thinking they can do this on their own and that kind of thing. But it took a few times for me to say, okay, well, I'm going to wait a 3 days, and I'm going to send a letter, and then I'm going to, a week later, I'm going to go over there with a package, whatever. And in that week, there's a real estate sign in the yard. They just, this isn't for me. And we tried it for a few days. Oh, I don't want to do this. And so I miss it because I was trying to figure out the timing. So my system, and everybody, again, you can find lots of different systems. Just, Google FSBO prospecting. And there are all sorts of different ways. But the system I want to teach you is the way that makes it most easy for me. And that's, I want to help these people. My whole attitude, I see it for sale by owner, I want to help them get their house sold, whether it's with a realtor or not. They're in my market area. It's a property that I want to know about. And so it makes it so easy to go over, knock on their door and say, hey, I'm Michael Guthrie of Roy Wheeler. So you're trying to sell your house on your own. I said, I just wanted to stop by and tell you if I can help you in any way, I'd love to. Love to be a resource for you. They go, well, we're not going to use real. No, I understand that. I just want to be a resource where I want to help you in whatever way I can. And what I'd like to do is set up a time, not now, because I'm unannounced. I'd love to set up a time, just come by and walk through your house and give you some ideas as to, what your house looks like, things that you might want to do to stage it better or whatever. Would that be okay? They say, well, we're having it open on Sunday, from 2 to 4. Great. I'll come back at 4 o'clock. Because I want to come back at the end. Because if nobody showed up, right? That's discouragement 1. right? They signed the yard, they did all the right things, but nobody came to the open house. I get there at 4 o'clock, I'm walking through how the open house goes. Well, I didn't have anybody through. Oh, that's no big deal. Some Sundays, are better than other Sundays or whatever. And you just literally walk through the house with a legal pad and just, make some notes. And at the end, hand it to them and say, hey, here's, or even better, hey, I'm going to take these back, I'm going to draw it up, and I'll send it to you by email. What's the best way of reaching you? And that first point of contact is just, I'm here to serve you. And then when I say here, be creatively consistent. Other than being there at the right time, these are the two things that make the difference in being successful in FSBO, being creative and being consistent. And what I mean by that is creative, I'm here to help you. I want to help you do so. Now again, remember we talked at the beginning of the class, right? We want to be wide angled. If they sell their house on their own without us, they're going to be telling and bragging to everybody at work and everybody they know that they got their house sold, whatever. Somebody in their sphere may very well say, well, we're thinking about putting our house on the market. So, oh, well, it's a great time. You should try to do it. No, I can never do it. Oh, you couldn't? Oh, well, then you got to call Caroline. She was so helpful to me. Even though she wasn't involved in the transaction, she helped me in understanding the things that I needed to do.
Do you think she'd work for me for free too?
Yeah, right. No, this person has said, you need to use.
Yeah.
But the point being is, you go, you walk through the house, you write some notes, you have a reason for following up with them, you send an email, here are the notes of things that I would consider thinking you want to do. And then what you do is you begin to have different things that you want to give them. By the way, when you do have somebody come through the house, how do you know they can qualify for the house? Well, what do you mean? Well, they're gonna have to get financing. How do you know they're qualified to get the kind of financing to buy your house? How do you know they have the amount of money? Gosh, I hadn't thought about that. Well, I've got somebody in my office. His name's Jay Dominic. If it's okay, I'm going to put him in touch with you. And he's a great lender who you can trust. And anybody that's interested in your house, you can have them go through Jay. And Jay will pre-qualify them. And he can let them know and let you know that they can qualify for it. Well, why would he do that? Well, because it's going to give him an opportunity to talk to them. And if they are interested in buying the house, there's a chance that they might do the loan with him, right? Oh, by the way, if you do get a contract, if you do have somebody who's interested in buying the house, how are you going to draw it up? What kind of paperwork do you use? Well, we thought we'd get an attorney. Well, that's a great idea. Can I give you some names of attorneys that you can call? You can use our annual title disclosure form. It's got the names and phone numbers. Can I give you some names of folks you can call? You can call all of them, see what they would charge you, and you can decide who you want to use. You're not giving that to them all at once. Every conversation, you're giving them another piece of advice, and then you're sending them that information by email, or you're stopping by. When are you going to hold another house open? Blah, blah, blah. You might even say to them, if it'd be helpful to you, there are 2 or 3 other houses that I think you're competing against. Would you like to see them? And when you've got an open afternoon, you say, would you like to see them? I'll take you to 2 or 3 of the houses that I think are your competition. I can get you in those houses. See, the point I'm doing is I'm just helping them. I'm just giving them information.
I like this.
With the whole point that at some point, if they decide that they don't want to be a for sale anymore, they want to list it, all you're asking, because they're going to say, well, why are you doing this? Look, I'm doing this because I want to help you, but if at some point you do decide to use a realtor, I'm hoping I'm earning the right to be considered to be that realtor. Not that I am the realtor, but I'm hoping I'm earning the right to be considered to be that realtor. It's huge. And then again, going back at the very beginning, you start finding things out about it. If they're moving to another area, I'd love to refer you to an agent in that area. Great. If, whatever. If they're thinking about, a new home, if you haven't decided on one, I'd be happy to go and see if there are any other new home projects you might be interested in. And I'm also happy to go back and talk to some of the places you went and see if they would consider, allow me to be your realtor. You never know, all right? The prospect list that we've already talked about. Mm-hmm. But here's the other one that nobody ever thinks about. So a couple months in, hasn't sold, they're frustrated, and they're going out of town or whatever. You say, here's what I'm willing to do for you. How about if I hold your house open for you this Sunday? And for one day, my sign's in your yard. I'm going to market the open house, but I'm going to market it to represent the buyer and the buyer only. Excuse me. I'm gonna market and I'm gonna represent the seller and the seller only. And if somebody comes and wants to buy it, you're only gonna have to pay me 3%. If I can bring you somebody, I'm gonna tell that buyer, if they come through the open house, that I'm doing this for this seller. And I'm representing the seller. If they're interested in buying it, I'm happy to draw up the contract, provide ministerial acts, and you only have to pay 3%. You do that? Yeah, be happy to do it. That way you can get away. You know, I'll put my sign in the yard, I'll market it out there, see if I can get some other activity for you. And if it sells, you're paying 3% versus, whatever, total commission would be.
You do that authorization to show.
And you do the one-time showing, and have it set up, and then you've got it. You're representing that seller for that one day. And then anybody that comes in, the seller's agreed. If anybody comes in on March 10th and buys this house while having been introduced to it by the open house, that they're willing to pay Woodwheeler 3%. But the point being is, you're moving them toward listing with you because they're now signing paperwork. But you're doing them a favor.
Goodwill,
Yeah.
to the extent also you help a renter, that, wow, and I'll say, maybe we'll likely buy someday, but maybe in the meantime, if you know anyone who think of me.
Exactly right. And they become they become really good sphere of influence people because you just treat them so well. The thing that I like about it is there's no pressure.
No harm.
I'm just trying to help
I
them.
like this a lot.
I'm just here to help you. And at first they're going to go, wait a minute, this doesn't make any sense. And you're going to say, I get the fact that you don't trust me, but I promise you I'm going to earn the trust. Because all I'm here to do is help you. If you can sell your house on your own, I'll get you comparables. I'll do it. If you can sell your house on your own, that's great. And there's a good chance there may be an agent that will bring you a buyer. And that agent is going to want to get paid. But understand that agent's going to represent that buyer in your situation. And what you're doing is you're getting them to the point of saying, well, gosh, I want to be represented. Well, if you like to be represented and that happens, I'm happy to work something out. Whatever. But the thing that I loved about it is I could go the first day and not feel bad about it at all because I was there to offer a service. I was there just to help. And they are just, it's almost fun because they are so mindful. But I thought, why would you do this? Well, it's my business. And this is an area that I'm interested in, and so I want to see, that kind of thing. So, anyway, with that, let's see. Competition is great for the company; it keeps us sharp. However, one of Woodwheeler's greatest assets is our commitment to fairness. We want everybody to succeed. Let's work to keep that by treating each other like we want to be treated. The reason that's in there is that you may find out that another agent is working that for sale by owner, and if so. It's better to get with that person and say, hey, how can we do this together? If the for sale owner says, oh, well, such and such has been coming by as well, well, go to them and then come back and say, hey, we're willing to partner up and help you with this, versus, trying to, compete against each other in that situation because it makes the client look, or the for sale owner look like, well, what's going on here? They're both with the same company, and why?
Woodwheeler.
Right. Wheeler agent, not other.
Okay,
Exactly.
I don't agree with that.
No, I'm talking about, yeah, exactly. Few suggestions. Be patient.
Yeah.
Unless the for sale owner is ready, don't immediately try to get them to list. They're gonna lead you that direction. If you do the things I'm talking about, you're gonna know when that trust has been built so that you can say, hey, what would you think about me following up with your prospect list? Right? These are the people that came by your house. You're trying to get them to come back to your house. They're not returning your call or whatever. Why don't you give me that list and let me call them for you? As a third party and just say, hey, in all honesty, what are you thinking about this house? And if they still want your house, I will draw them right back to you. But on the other side of it, you now have an opportunity to maybe work with those people to buy something else. But you got to have the trust before somebody's going to hand that over to you, right? Go to the for sale by owner offering to be of help. Comps, rate sheets, helpful articles. All these things are going to establish rapport and build trust. And that's the other thing you can say. When are you going to be holding your next open house? Well, I'm going to hold it open on the 18th of March. Great. I'm going to have Jay drop by on the 16th or 17th. I'm going to have Jay drop by some rate sheets for you. And what all it's going to do is going to be a page of different types of loan programs. So that if somebody comes in and seems to be interested in the house, you can hand them this sheet. And what that does for you is may make the, difference because somebody finds out that they can do an FHE loan and they only need 3.5%, or with 10% down, they've got a mortgage payment that's equal to what they're renting right now. And that may turn the tide for them being interested in buying the house or not. And then if they are, you hand them a sheet so they can reach out to Jay, which is then going to get them pre-qualified and whatever. So, you work that out with Jay, and hey, I'm going to go after these for sale by owners. And here are the things that I want to tell them that you'll do. Are you in? If they're gonna hold an open house every couple of weeks, are you in on redoing a rate sheet so that we can get it to them? Are you in for if somebody is interested in being pre-qualified? He's going to be in. I mean, it's another opportunity for him to find his own business, right? So anyway, anything you can think of that would give them information. It's not on here, but like I said, how about I've got some free time on Saturday. Would you like to go and see 2 or 3 houses? We'll go back to previewing. Why not take something with you? You're going to preview it anyway. So set up a time in that geographic area to preview it with that for sale by owner, right? It's a good use of the time. The longer you hang in with a for sale by owner, the fewer agents you'll be competing against. There's no doubt, statistically proven every time. Building trust is important, so never say anything you can't back up or make a promise that you can't keep. But I've never heard anybody else teach going after for sale by owners this way.
Yeah,
It's just
inspiring,
my,
like,
it's just,
it doesn't make you go, oh, God.
Right.
That makes you like,
and the whole reason for that is because it made me feel that way.
Yeah.
When I was selling back in the 80s, early 80s, I knew I needed the business. I knew I needed listing inventory, but I just could not just go until I came up with this idea. And then it was just a piece of cake. Because all I was doing was build a rapport. All I was doing was warm fuzzies. I'm here to help you. I mean, who doesn't want to be helped? And even the most egotistical, I can do this myself, I've sold 8 houses myself, blah, blah, they appreciate it.
And with all the new technology, I think it's going to reverse course and people will crave the personal touch if you're confident and kind.
That's absolutely what Brian Buffini believes.
Yeah.
He believes, and I agree with it, the market is going to, and I heard it at the Leading RE conference last month, the market is going in 2 different ways. It's going totally technology. Everybody doing this, or personal contact. And the personal contact is winning more often than technology, because even though some people are going to the technology, when they find the house they're interested in, they're calling the person that they trust to help them. They may have done all the work. In fact, I'm writing an article right now, and Caroline's daughter and her husband were doing a radio show Saturday. I read an article on this whole millennial thing. And it's going to be the article for the newsletter for March, and it's going to be the article that'll be online with the Daily Progress about misconceptions and what people think. And
You mean the boomers or the millennials?
but yeah, and I've got this really cool thing that Keith and Yona's older daughter wrote after they bought a house in New Jersey, tried to do it on their own without mom and dad, and it fell apart. And then they brought mom and dad in, they got a realtor, outgoing referral involved, and even in the midst of that, that could have fallen apart too. But because they had the right people in place, they bought a house they were really happy with. So I'm writing this article about the misconceptions, and then also, even if you're online and do these things, you still need somebody you can trust to navigate through the process. And it's true, absolutely true. So, all right,
Good stuff.
thank you guys.
Thank you.
Address
Yeah,
that a
yep.
little bit. So, I was telling you about after that experience with those people.
Right.
Okay, at least for the Zillow people, I'm gonna get them to sign an agreement. What,
Oh, I gave you this too. This is just a quick copy of a letter. That should be on the email as well, folks, the letter to the expires. Go ahead.
can you just give me a quick, what you say or what you?
In regards to getting them to sign the exclusive right to represent? So what I would do, and what I teach is that, I'll go out and show you these couple properties today. But you need to understand that you have the right to be represented, and I'd like to earn the right to become the person who represents you. So we're going to see about. So
Wait, hit that
yeah,
or you-
yeah, that's fine. Thank you. So